The vampire panic of 1892. Everyone was terrified, afraid that their dead neighbors were returning from the dead. Vampire panic of 1892. A deadly disease of consumption spread around the town and made people look as if they were withering away.
New England, the place of the walking dead, the townsfolk were desperate for a treatment, and they got one. The combination that was in this so-called treatment was bloodletting and rest. Not only it didn't work, it didn't even match to help with recovery.
Let's take a look back at how well the families were doing.
Actually, Giancarlo family members would tend to eat the ashes of their deceased loved ones, so he or she wouldn't find a way out of their grave. After they passed, they ate the ashes as a sort of cure for the haunted.
After your friend or family member passes, many or most towns would specifically remove the heart of the loved one who passed, and sometimes remove other certain organs and burn them before the body was reburied, which is what unfortunately happened to Mercy Brown. The Mercy Brown family was ruined from this outbreak. The family wasn't just wrecked for 1 or 3 years, but nearly a decade. Not only was the Mercy Brown family ruined with the disease, it ran in the family, which didn't make it any better.
Mercy was part of the Brown family and was just 19 when she passed in 1892.
2 years before, her mother had passed from this disease, and later did her sister after Mercy passed herself.
While her father, George Brown, managed to survive. Truth be revealed, this whole outbreak was caused by a disease called tuberculosis. This is where all the Brown families were buried at. This is Mary Brown, the mother. This is George Brown, the father. Mary, the sister. And this is Mercy. And this is Edwin. After Mercy passed, she was kept in an above-ground crypt. It would have been respectful to let Mercy rest, but instead her father allowed locals to examine her body, and it did not end well.
For starters, some above-ground crypts prevented decompositions. In this case, with Mercy Brown, her crypt prevented any signs of decomposition. When locals saw this, they already knew she was a part of the undead. Not only did Mercy's body show no signs of decomposition, her heart was so full of blood it looked like as if it were to beat again.
This is where Mercy Brown was kept over the winter over 2 months.
This is also where her body was exhumed and her body organs were taken out. However, what they didn't know was due to the cold weather, her body wasn't able to decompose correctly, resulting in a vampire-looking body.
After the locals burned Mercy Brown's heart, her father, G.B., fed Edwin, her little brother, her ashes mixed with water as a cure for himself. What could go wrong?
Edwin died 2 months later, actually, and the illness died alongside with him.
He's Michael E. Bell. I'm a professional folklorist. I got a PhD in folklore from Indiana University in Bloomington and a master's degree in folklore and mythology from UCLA and a Bachelor of Arts degree from the University of Arizona in anthropology and archaeology. That's my educational background. I should say that by the time I was age 12, I had lived in 4 different states in 6 different cities. So at an early age, I understood folklore and local culture, even though I didn't know that's what it was called. I just know when I moved to a new place, the kids were doing things, we're playing the same games, but they had slightly different rules, and of course they thought I was wrong and they were right. So very early I understood the idea that all culture was basically local.
What first sparked your interest in the New England vampires in Rhode Island?
Well, I had come here first in 1979 to do a short-term project for the American Folklife Center at the Library of Congress. And we were documenting cultural traditions in the state. And 30-some years later, I was still there documenting cultural traditions. So the short-term project turned into a career, actually. I went down and interviewed this guy down in Exeter, He knows everything about history there and folklore. I said, great, let's set up the interview. And she said, oh, by the way, when you talk to him, be sure to ask him about the vampire in his family. So I go, what? I mean, I've been a folklorist for quite a while. And I knew about vampires like everybody, you know, from movies and films and I don't know, advertisements and all that stuff. But I didn't know if there were actual real vampires in America, in Rhode Island. So we went down and interviewed Everett Peck, and he told me the story of Mercy Brown.
Also, a misconception people often have about the Mercy Brown case.
Okay, well, I'm going to turn things around. And first, you tell me what you know about Mercy Brown, and then we'll see if we have misconceptions going on or not. Is that fair?
Yeah. We know, like...
First of all, people didn't call her a vampire, the people who were involved in it. You know, and since Mercy Brown, I've discovered almost 90 cases of exhumations in New England and nearby New York states where people were exhuming the bodies of their relatives. And in all these cases, they weren't called vampires by the people involved. That was a term that was applied by people from the outside looking in, outsiders. And I'm not saying it was a wrong term. I mean, that's what was going on when you look at the vampire rituals, say, in Europe. That's pretty much what people were doing. But they didn't understand people were dying of consumption, they called it. And they didn't understand what caused it, as you said. They didn't know it was a germ. And so they were desperate. As you asked one of your questions, is why did they do this? What made them do it? It was fear. Because they realized that what was happening was contagious. They didn't know how it was spread. So they knew that if somebody in the family got sick, somebody else would get sick and then die, and then it would just take one after the other, medicine remedy. And that, the belief was, and this is hard to pin down, because the people didn't really explain it very much, and I don't think they were really asking about it, but the belief seemed to be that it wasn't, say, Mercy Brown was killing her family. Some evil spirit or evil angel had actually inhabited her corpse by draining the life out of the living people. So not going out of the grave, not like Dracula, coming out of the grave as a bat or a fly or to get himself out. It was what they call a sympathetic connection. It was an invisible connection. So that's even in a sense more frightening. Yeah. Because if you can see something and you give it a name, you can deal with it. But if you can't even see it, you don't know it's doing it, but you can see the effects. And so the remedy was to go to the cemetery and exhume people who had died in your family and look for signs that there was fresh blood somewhere in the heart or the liver or other vital organs. And if you found the fresh blood where you wouldn't expect it because, as you said, they should be decomposed, then you knew that that's probably where this evil thing was living. And so to cure and stop it from happening to the people who were sick, they would take out the organ and turn it to ashes. And sometimes they were said to have to feed the ashes to feed the people who were sick. And so it's a kind of inoculation in a sense, right?
I think the community of Exeter, Rhode Island acted out when they exhumed Mercy's body.
Yeah, well, I guess it was basically fear.
Yeah.
I want to say ignorance, but not in a bad way. They didn't understand the germ theory, and neither did most of the people around them. So many people just didn't believe that this tiny thing you could not see could do so much damage to a human being. So one nurse told me when we were talking about this, she said, "Oh, it was like a bacterium with fangs." I said, "That's exactly what it was."
What makes the Mercy Brown's case so special or different than any other vampire cases?
Famous or infamous real vampire in the world right now. I'm not talking about Count Dracula and the vampires from in fiction. They're all pretty well known. But I'm talking about so-called real vampires, and that's because number one, she was one of the last, if not the last, vampire to be exhumed. People were aware of what a vampire was, from all the fiction, and so her story just grew and grew. And then since the internet got established, around 1980s and 1990s, then her story got picked up and carried, spread worldwide.
More than just a New England vampire, who was Mercy Brown?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. Apart from being a 19-year-old girl who was thought to be a vampire, we don't have a lot of information about her. Now, if you go on the internet and do some research, you'll find a photograph that's supposed to be Mercy Brown. That photograph has never been verified, or it's an authentic photograph. But who knows where it came from? Maybe it is, but maybe it has not been verified. We know a little bit more about her sister, who died first, Mary Olive, already a professional seamstress, and she had just started her own store where she sold clothes that she made. So we know more about her. Now, the University of Rhode Island supposedly has a quilt that Mercy Brown made. Mercy Brown quilt. So we can pretty much conclude that she probably did what her sisters did. Her sister, what most young girls did growing up when she was learning how to do things like sew quilts, make dresses, probably cook, all the things that she was supposed to do. But other than that, it's sad that we don't have a lot of information about her. So someone has uncovered a school record of hers when she was in elementary school.
Do you want to add anything?
No, I can show you two books that I wrote.
Oh, yeah, sure.
If you're interested in the first one is Food for the Dead, on the tale of New England's vampires. Now, that was first published 25 years ago, and then 15 years ago I had an updated version with new cases, so I had about maybe 25 at that time. So my latest book, which is 2 years old, Vampire's Grasp, The Hidden History of Consumption in New England. This is the one where I have about 90 cases. And somebody has called Rhode Island the Transylvania of America, and it probably is, because 19 of the cases are from Rhode Island.
Wow.
Lundy's Mercy or Saratoga Castle, 19 cases documented. So that's definitely more than any other state.
That's it for our interview.
Okay.
Thank you for...
her family and friends called Mercy by her middle name, Lena.
The townsfolk didn't use the word vampire to describe Mercy, but instead used the words demon or ghoul. Chestnut Hill Cemetery was where she was exhumed and buried. During the vampire panic of 1892, tuberculosis caused 25% of the deaths in populations in US and Europe.
Paranormal investigators and tourists complained their smartphone batteries drained to 0% the moment they stepped up to Mercy's grave.
We can learn from the Mercy Brown case that we cannot let fear influence us to create drastic methods of solutions to our problems.